Kit and Ether are experienced set PAs, and I mean, just to give an overview, Ebony is. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's cool. You can use my name. It's fine.
Okay, so Ebony is she was a trainee in Beyond Film School. She was in my first class ever, and that was when it was like mentorship and a PA program. So it was like a whole bunch of stuff. Like I harassed them a lot.
But it was worth it.
Yeah, Ebony came out on top basically, and there's a few other ones that are still doing a lot of film stuff. But I'm kind of more connected with certain students than others. I mean, that just kind of happens when you like have a connection with people. And Kit is like way before Beyond Film School even got started online. Like I had my website up, and then I was doing resume review. So even before I even did the course, I had met her through a resume submission, and she was like, this bitch is sketchy. I have no idea who this person is. And she took a risk. And so, I mean, I take risks on people, and then she decided to meet me. Because the funny thing is I was looking at her resume, and I was on the way to set, and I was like, okay, she's got theater, she's talking to me, she's communicating, she looks like she has the drive to make it, she just wants to break into film some way, she just has no experience. So I'm like on my way to, you know, work that day, and then I was like, hey, how about this? How about tomorrow you come to the set that I'm on now, and then we'll have a chat, and then hopefully I'll hire you from there. And it just worked out. And then she was on a 6-day short film right after that, the 3-day short film that I did. So like that's how we became friends. So now like I'm like involved in their lives and stuff. It's like, oh my god, what are you guys up to? And I'm happy when I see Ebony on set. And like Kid's over in LA right now. Are you still over there? Like you're still living? Yeah, because I feel like you're like randomly like, okay, I'm up and moving now, Amber. And I'm like, okay, what? Like you're in New York again. But she's out in LA, and she's doing her MFA in creative writing, right?
Screenwriting.
Screenwriting, there we go.
I mean, I'm technically done with it. It's just some stupid technicality thing or whatever, where I won't officially get it in until July.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest technicality ever, and I hate it. But
everything's in limbo right now, and it just totally sucks because it's like, I mean, I was hoping that I wouldn't be doing this again because I mean, and not that I don't like doing this, because I love connecting with people who are like watching my videos and who like, you know, do this stuff, you know, try to learn from me. But it's like, I thought I'd be on set by now. To be completely honest, I was like, we're going to be on set by June for sure. And it's June 4th now. And I'm like, I can't believe I just can't believe it. So, so hi, Marcus. Tell me a little bit about you. What's going on? What you have any like?
So I have no experience in this whatsoever. I saw your videos, and I've been wanting to. I was in school for music education, and I decided it was time to make a change. I've always been interested in film, and my interest is actually in directing now. And you know, I see people, you know, they're saying they started as a PA, and I pretty much came for information and just trying to understand how can I become a part. I'm very interested in it. I've actually changed my major to film. I know that doesn't really matter. I know you can, you know, get into the industry or whatever without school, but I still wanted that. I still wanted to work, you know, kind of get my hands on even academically as well, just to have some type of understanding of it. So, you know.
Can I just interject really quick?
Sure.
So here's the thing, is that if you were able to change your major to film, and I know, here's the thing, is I am a big advocate that you don't have to spend 50, 60, 70, 100 grand a year on film school. But if you're in a college where you can actually switch over to a major where it's like not all encompassing just film you're learning, like, because I mean, our university system is just a gen ed system. So it's like, we're supposed to get well-rounded education, not just one specific thing. And that's what graduate school is for. So
right.
You're in like regular undergrad, it's like, if they have film production classes, even if you can do it for elective, you're going to learn a lot, not as much as you will learn stepping onto a real film set, but you're going to have some type of basis. So I don't want you to discredit it too much.
Okay.
It's going to help you. You know what I mean? It'll give you a taste of what it could be like, and whether or not you're gonna like it or not, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then to Sarah, some people like not to be on like, you know, ask questions or anything. And who else do we have here? Let's see. Does anyone have any? Do you have any questions? Like, to start off? I know some people like to participate silently, so it's kind of like, I don't know.
I don't know what to ask.
Oh, here, like one more. Let's see. Wait, what school do you go to, Marcus?
I'm in Chicago. Chicago State University. They have a film department that I didn't even know about until maybe last year. And you know, they have internships and things like that. So I just wanted to kind of get my hands, you know, be hands on and get my feet wet or whatever. And I haven't started yet. You know, this whole thing.
Like, gonna be a freshman? Is that like?
Well, I've done my gen eds and things like that because I was already a student there. But as far as this major,
so you're just basically starting the major. So you're technically a junior in a sense.
Technically, in a sense, yeah. Yeah, and I just decided I wanted to change because I mean at that time I didn't know where to begin. You know, I started watching videos and started asking questions. Even some of the professors there, you know, how do you kind of work and navigate through this, you know? And it's pretty much the same thing. You just kind of have to get the experience. That's pretty much what I've been hearing from people, you know. And I'm ready for the ride. I'm ready for what comes at me, you know. But I just want to know how to do it or get started.
That's everyone's question. That's everyone. How do we do it? So we have someone new, Jean. Hi, Jean.
Hi.
Hi. So you guys can just jump in. If anyone has any questions, you can always just type it in the chat or whatever, and I'm happy to answer it. I know some people are just like, they're not trying to be on camera and they're not trying to, like, you know, participate, which I totally get. They just want to be like a fly on the wall. So if you guys have any questions, you can just jump in. Let's see. So Jean, tell me a little about you since
about myself. Okay. I'm a filmmaker and I have strong interest in VR, and I just got accepted as part of a lab for the CANS XR incubation lab.
Congrats.
Yeah, actually this pandemic helped because I wouldn't have normally been going to CANS, and since it's all online, I was able to apply for it, and I joined a team, and we're working on a augmented reality garden.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the project we're working on. So,
but
there are other teams in this incubation lab. So.
I'm sorry. I have a question. So, what school did I go to? Are you asking, to Sarah? I hope I'm saying her name right. So I went to school, Jean, I will get right back to you because I have a couple questions. I went to University of Buffalo. I just went to a regular 4-year university. I went to UB, and I started out in poli-sci. I was supposed to go into politics. I was very interested in history, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking change some shit. I'm gonna be in Congress and stuff like that. I wanted to be a representative, and then I couldn't get through any of my political science classes. I kept falling asleep, but that's not because they weren't worth anything, or they, you know, it just, I just kind of, I couldn't conquer, you know, my first semester. And then you know, there's a whole lot of things happening my first semester of college. I got a 1.01 GPA my first semester in college, and I was top 10 in my high school. So
oh my God, that's so literally relatable. Ebony. Oh God, you just threw us way back.
Dude, my first semester, it was really rough. And then, I mean, I was doing D1 crew, and that affected my sleep. I was up every day at like 4 a.m. trying to get onto the water at 5:30. And I took Chinese 8 a.m. every day. Like, dude, my first semester was a nightmare. And then I did the next 2 years at UB, and I switched over to media studies because I was like, you know, I went to high school for photography and I went for art. So I was an art student in high school. So I had an artistic background. I always worked with cameras. And my senior year of high school, I was in video. So I knew that if anything, if history and politics I wasn't strong enough in, I knew I could fall back on, you know, creating stuff and being an artist. And that program I didn't like because it was a lot of theory. It was a lot of learning about films, watching films, analyzing films. I'm like, I want to figure out how to make those things. I want to have a camera. I want to know lighting. I want to know how to edit. So none of those things were offered at UB basically until I got into the major. But then there was a chance, like, I mean, Marcus, like you're saying, like you have to do the 2 years, and then it's like, but with UB, you had to apply to the major. And with a certain portfolio, there was a chance that you couldn't get in. So then I was like, well, there's no chance. There's like this risk that I was taking. I'm going to waste 4 years of school if I don't get into that major. So then I transferred over to Buffalo State College, where they have a production program where it was like you actually took, you actually got a camera, you got real clients. So it was like a lot of, like I did a music video for a real local band. I did like a documentary for a youth theater group. There were so many things that were so hands-on for that program that it was just like that was just, let's see, what is the most valuable lesson you took away from film school? See, I mean, I took film courses, but I didn't know, like I can't say that I went to a film school because I didn't go to like, USC or Full Sail or NYU. But the most valuable lesson I learned was you have to get out of the classroom. You have to go out and do something and make sure that, hold on a second, that you take advantage of internships. You have to make sure you're involved in your community. You have to make sure that you're, hey, Londo, you have to make sure that, you have to step out from your student realm and go out into the real world and start making stuff and volunteering. Because, I mean, I saw a lot of stuff like posts on Craig, like back in the day in Craigslist world, when Craigslist was the main place where people got crew gigs. Like I worked on a commercial for 2 days as a camera assistant. And then I worked on a feature film on the weekends for like 3 months, being a grip and a camera assistant. So it was like, and I did one gig that was totally free as a PA and a camera assistant. And then after that, it was either like $50 a day or $75 a day. So, I mean, that was the most valuable thing from film school, is like knowing that film school is not the only thing that's going to help me. It'll like help you in getting your mind going and what you want to do, but then you have to go outside the classroom. You have to. So, I mean, that's the lesson I learned from that. Anyone else have any questions bouncing off like, and so Jean, how can I help you? I feel like you're like advanced here. Like
No, not really. No, like I said, this was all pure it's just the times. I wouldn't have normally gone to Cannes. I don't have the money for it, but because everything was online and I subscribed to certain weekly newsletters, I found out about this lab and applied for it. So I think you just have to make use of what's out there. Sometimes in the worst of times, there are opportunities.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I do this is nothing to do with film at all, but like I am, I do Run with Amber, and it's like a travel blog / like I write about running and being celiac and all that stuff. And like, I know nothing about how to like really make money off a travel blog. So I'm like, I'm doing free courses for that. Like there's so many things that are just available right now because people are like, please, we'll take any money that you have, even if it's like the smallest amount, because everything is going under, unfortunately. Let's see. Sorry, I'm reading the questions, guys. So you guys can just jump in if you have any questions. Just feel free to yell them out. We'll have. I mean, yeah. Once things are back to normal, the question is like, do you think once productions are up and running again, they will have applications online again? Where should I start? So, I think what is that? Oh my Lord, what is that? I think that internships, when you first start, your first internship should be like more smaller company, local, where it's like you have a chance to actually, I guess I feel like, and it's just like union versus indie, right? So it's like with a smaller company, you'll be able to be more in the group and more family oriented, and it's a smaller group to get to know. It'll be more intimate. So then when you go to a bigger company, you're not just being like the runner of something, or you're not just, watching something happen. You know what I mean? So with internships, it would be the same thing. So it's like you start smaller, part of a smaller group, then you have more responsibility, and then you kind of like work your way up to the bigger companies. But as soon as everything is back to normal, everything should just go back to the way it was. You know what I mean? They'll have online applications, and they should have like all kinds of stuff out there. If anything, there'll probably be more stuff. It'll take a while to get there, but I feel like there might be more opportunity now because we've been at a standstill, and there's going to be so much more production because there's going to be a gap. And I tried to explain this in one video, and I was like, I can't explain this the right way. But there's going to be a gap where it's like, people are going to be waiting for new content because we haven't been shooting for 3 months. So all the stuff that's made already has already almost all been released. So like now everyone's going to be like, where are the new movies? Where are the new TV shows? Where are the things? So if anything, there's going to be more internships.
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
Production assistant, PAs. I've heard that I don't know. How do you? Is that just the thing of just applying? Like if you're like someone like me, no. And I understand the whole working your way up. I get that, but it's like, where do you start? Where do you know what I mean? How do you go about that?
So starting out, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna suck. It sucks. And Ebony or Kay, if you guys want to add in onto this, because they both talked about how they got their start in other videos. So it's like, it's somewhat luck, making sure you take advantage of opportunities, make sure you're paying attention, making sure like you are, it's networking, meeting people, making sure your name gets out there, because it's not as simple as, hey, I'm going to submit my resume. I'm going to apply online. Submit that call.
That part never happens to me randomly. But that was like a once in a
blue
moon type of
So I talk about how you get like jobs online, right? And most of my jobs as a PA it's different as me as an AD, because me as an AD I get all my jobs through word of mouth now. Like I rarely have to apply for an AD gig because so many producers know me and my name gets tossed around, so like I'll get more gigs that way than I will then applying for something. But like that first round of like when you have nothing, it's so hard because it's just like they're like, well, you have nothing on your resume that says you're a PA or you're a production assistant, so like they're not going to hire you. So it's like luck sometimes being in the right location. Like I got a staff job in Jersey because I lived in Jersey and I was like the first one to apply as a PA. I was like, hey, I did like, and it's about like, another PA said this, so I'm going to do a video on PA tips from all the PA interviews I did for the PA series that I'm doing now. And a lot of them said it was like just being at the right place at the right time is really like, it's just utilizing what comes your way, unfortunately. And it sucks, but it's like making sure that you're keeping your eye out. Like Ebony or Kate, if you want to add to that, please.
Oh, man.
You want to go first? You could go first.
I mean, you go first. You're the reason how I found Amber.
Okay, fine. For me, like, you know how they say it's who you know, not really what you know, and I don't 100% agree with that. And then there are other people that say it's what you know, not necessarily who you know, and that works for certain industries, but not this. So I kind of came up with my own version of that phrase, which is basically who you know gets you in the door and what you know keeps you in the room.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my new phrase when it comes to like the entertainment business, because it really is a combination of who you know and what you know. With me, like literally I was like, damn, I really want to get into film. Like what the heck can I do? Like I went to school for theater, and like, you know, they usually say, like, when I say they, I mean like industry people usually say, oh, you're in a better position if you start off in theater and then you make your way into film versus going into film and then coming back into theater. Like it's too, like a lot of, if you think about it, a lot of actors like in the industry right now, if they went to school for theater, for the acting part. And then they did their theater stuff and then they took it to film. So with that being said, I got an associate's and a bachelor's degree in theater. And so I had theater credits under my name. but I was just like, dang, I really want to go into film. Like, you know, I did theater as a start, but like the end goal for me was was film. So I was looking online and I saw basically, it was basically submit your resume to someone who works in the industry as an AD, and they'll review your resume and give you tips
sometimes, to be honest with you.
Huh?
Sometimes ADs aren't gonna review your resume. They're just gonna be like, "Oh, you're available? Great."
Right.
Not gonna lie, they're just gonna take your number down, and that's it.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure about it, but I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, there was this quiz that I had to take, like, oh, what do you know about PA? And then if you got a certain amount of answers correct, then it's like, okay, you could submit your resume for free. Otherwise, you would have to pay to submit your resume. And then that was the part that was kind of like sketchy to me. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what? So I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, so I'm just like, whatever, I'll just take the chance. So I did that, and I was just like, all right, whatever, my information is out there. If I start getting spam calls, I know who to pinpoint it to, that kind of thing. So then I got an email from who it turns out to be Amber, and it was basically, and like the email, I think I still have the email, but it was basically
it's like, hey, do you want to meet tomorrow? I'm on set, you can meet me. It was like I had no time to write her a proper email.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, it doesn't seem like an automated response, so I can believe there's a real person behind the screen writing this. But I was mostly unsure about it because I was like, people do this in film. So like, that was the thing that I was a little bit unsure about. Like, cause I was like, you know, there's a different way that we would go about things if you're trying to get a job for theater. So I was just like, all right, I'm just going to roll with it. And then I just happened to be getting off of one of my projects that I just finished doing as a light technician for theater. So it was on 42nd Street and 11th Avenue in New Federal Theater. That's the one that I was like affiliated with. And then I was just like, well, whatever, I'm free for the day. So I went back downtown to the Jefferson Library, like a little bit below, like it's right but between Soho and Union Square. So that's where I was. And I was like on my computer, I think. No, I was on my phone at the time. And then basically Amber was like, okay, yeah, let's meet. And I'm like, and then I was, she was like, I'm in the city. I was like, okay, this is where I am. And she was like, you're not that far from me, so let's meet up or whatever. And then I was like, uh-oh, maybe I should have done research. So then I looked up her name and I was like trying to look up Amber.
Quick
like,
note,
Google.
the location that I was shooting at was a mansion in like the West Village. So it was a residential address. So I told her, I was like, hey, this is where the shoot is. And I was like, I don't know how to prove that this is like a safe, like, how do I make it look like it's not, do you know what I mean? Like it has to be like a public area where people meet. But I'm like, well, she'll realize that there's a truck there, there's gear, and there's crew coming in.
Yeah.
So maybe she'll realize that it's like, it's okay to like come in or whatever. So
yeah. So I was like, I don't even know how this chick looks. Who am I looking for? Blah, blah. So I went up and I'm like, I'm waiting for Amber.
Oh my God. She was very, very nervous. And she was stepping on like a real set because the mansion was like 3 levels and there was like gear all over the place. And like, there's just people, she's probably like, who the
and it's like hidden. It is hidden. It is hidden. So I was just like, so when I went in, I was just like, wait a minute, whoa, am I in New York City or the Hamptons right now? Like, it was like that kind of thing. So then finally, I was just like kind of like watching, kind of like, I'm just gonna wait for Amber. And then somebody told Amber that someone was waiting for her. So then she came up to me. She was like, hi, I'm Amber. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, okay, you're real.
She's not threatening at all. She's great.
Yeah.
Do you have like, what is your like advice on getting jobs?
Your first one.
See, her first one was like, well, okay, Ebony can explain her first.
Okay.
Like she can explain.
Yeah. Okay. So my first one actually happened a few days after the training course.
I threw her right into the fire. I was like, dude,
Yep.
everybody's got it. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I texted my key PA friends and I was like, who do you need right now? Let me see if I can get them on. So like I threw her right into the fire.
That was actually my first gig was actually this indie music video. My second was literally like it was the same weekend where I took the training course. 2 days later, my first gig.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, because the indie music video was my friend, she was shooting a music video.
Yeah.
And I was like, and she asked me if I was available. And I'm pretty sure I remember that I wasn't available because I would have done it myself if I was available.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not available, but my friend just took a course on how to be a PA.
You both threw me into the fire.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like just like my home
That
slice.
makes me happy. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example, and I want everyone to like take note of that because it's a perfect example of when you go on set, some of the things you need to do during the day is get to know your PA buddies, your peers, the people who are on your level, because you cannot underestimate the value they're going to have. Because when I'm not available and people are asking me, hey, can you be a such and such PA or whatever, or even when I'm an AD and I can't do a gig, they'll say, hey, do you know an AD that can do this? Or do you know a PA that can do this? So if I have like a person that I know that can do that job, I'll say, hey, see if so-and-so is available. I'm pretty sure he or she is, like, contact them. And they will usually go right to that person and they'll get the job if they're available. Because when I recommend someone, I text them first and I say, hey, are you available these days? So I don't want to waste anyone's time.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a prime example of like how you're going to get jobs when you start to know people and then your PA friend's like, hey, Marcus is available, or, you know. So I just want to answer one question. Do you think when things open up again, will it be okay to attend networking events with zero experience? Now, here's the thing with that. It's like, I think when you have no experience, networking events is what you need to be doing. Like, that's like the thing you need to be doing, because there is so many different types of people at a networking event. There's going to be actors and actresses there. There's going to be producers. There's going to be people who are just starting out fresh. There's going to be PAs, people who have there's going to be all different types of people. And the thing is don't underestimate actors and actresses, because actors and actresses also are producers down the line. A lot of people in the indie world, like a lot of actors, want to create their own content and create their own characters and create their own projects that they can be part of and like have more creative control. Because sometimes actors feel kind of pigeonholed and they feel kind of taken advantage of by directors and producers. So like getting to know actors and actresses who are trying to, you know, make their projects, all you have to say as someone who has no experience, I am very new. I have no experience as a PA, but I want to be on set. I'm willing to learn. I want to help you out. And if it's for free or for a weekend or one day or something, it's like you have nothing to lose, basically. You're starting at zero. You have like nothing to lose. So like networking events, when you have zero experience, that's like the way to get, like, if they have them. We haven't had any in a while because I just haven't, you know, everything's been so busy where they didn't need networking events. And I think in the past like year, we haven't had like a film industry networking event. I'm trying to put like a Beyond Film School networking event thing happening. It just now it's like, it just put all of its crap. It's like no one's going anywhere. So, okay. So, what does a typical day as a PA or AD look like? Well, first of all, as a PA and an AD are two totally different days. As a PA, if you want to do like a typical day as a PA, just to get a different voice in there.
All right. So typical day as a PA, one, you're going to be there extremely early before your crew call. So expect that.
At least an hour.
At least
Usually,
an
yeah,
hour?
at least an hour, yeah. It depends on what production and what type of
you are.
caps they have. Like, because if it's an NBC show, a lot of the shows have 14-hour caps on their shows. So it's like, I may be in it. Like, when I worked on New Amsterdam, I was a walkie PA, and my crew call was always at crew call. My call was always at crew call because I was always the last PA to leave after the key PA. So it was like, I had to do that full day. But it, like, for example, when I worked on Enemy Within, I was there as a background PA. It was like 2 hours before and then 2 hours after. They didn't care about caps. So it's like, it could be a 12-hour day, 14,
or 16,
17. Okay, keep going, Abby.
Ooh, that one, like, once you said the Enemy Within, I was like, I remember that 16-hour day. It still scars me to this day.
Yeah, Enemy Within was, man, there are so many things wrong with that show. It was like, the agents were crazy. Everything was disorganized. The second ADs didn't know shit. It was bad. It was like, Anastasia was a mean bitch. Sorry, I'm saying it right now. I'm sorry she was mean. Dude.
That was my first AD gig. It was terrifying. But I didn't know what a bad set was until I worked more sets. I was like, oh, the Enemy Within? Terrible.
Yeah. Enemy Within was a prime example of a bad set. Like that.
Yeah. Oh God, I have a prime example of a bad set too. Remember Amber?
Girl, I don't even want to talk about that feature film. I don't want this to take a bad turn. I don't want to talk about that feature film because that gives me like PTSD. That was a horrible film. I never want to. Devani, thanks. I talked to him. I had like a private conversation before, and I told Devani about this set, and he was like, I told him about 2 bad sets I had, and I can't go there again. I can't mentally and emotionally go there yet. Maybe.
Yeah.
Real quick before we continue with the typical day, Natalia has a question: is pay good enough when you first start out as a PA, or in order to sustain ourselves? Okay, so. I don't want to jump into pay scales and stuff like that, but where are you located, Natalia? Sorry, she might type it out, but in New York City right now. Oh, LA. Okay, so LA minimum wage. Do you know?
LA's minimum wage right now is $12, I believe.
For real? Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I thought it would be 15 like New York City. Holy crap.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I'm really shocked actually. Oh my goodness. So
yeah, I think they're about to raise it, but right now it's 12. It's like $12 right now.
Oh my goodness. So in New York City it's 15 an hour. Other place, I mean, I remember I started out as a PA. My first job was like 9 something an hour. I can probably pull my pay subs out now because I have all my pay subs from because I have to sit in my book one day and I have to have all these things. I think it was like $8.50 an hour, 11 something an hour once upon a time. When I first started out, when I first started getting union stuff. Now, you can survive off if you do 3 days a week. And there's massive overtime. So if you're doing like 17-hour days, 16-hour days, you're going to survive off having 3 days of work. I think you can probably and you have to keep rent. Like, this is why I live in Jersey, because my rent is a lot lower for what I get for if I lived in New York. Like, my life is so less stressful because I don't live in New York and I live in New Jersey. Just by the way, people are like, why do you live in Jersey? Well, rent is one of the reasons, first of all. But I had to have a side job when I first started out because I wasn't a staff PA. I wasn't on every day. So a couple of days I was on set. A couple of days I was working as a barista. That was my thing. Some people are bartenders, some people are waiters, but I had a flexible job on the side when I first started. So, that's part of knowing what you have to do when you're first starting out, because you're not going to jump on set and get hired every day. It does not happen. So the expectation is to just know that you're in it for the long haul, and it's going to be hard and you're going to struggle. Like, I remember like eating rice every day for like almost a month. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, seriously, to pay my rent and just try and make it. Like, it's very hard. So it's not for anyone that's like, oh, it'll be a breeze, I'll hop on set. I mean, if you're lucky, you could. Sometimes that happens to people where it's like they love you and you've made an impression first off. Like, I was a huge bitch when I first started out. I had a bad attitude. I was not easy to work with. And my face was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I would be upset. Yeah, I'd be like, this is dumb. I don't like the assignment that I got. What am I doing on this corner? Who am I locking up right now? I'd had a bad attitude. So like, no one wanted to hire me. So like, I wasn't on set like some people. So it's like, you got to learn a lot of lessons. Like, I mean, I feel like Kid and Ebony were like leaps and bounds ahead where I was when I first started, because they had good attitudes. They were like go-getters. They were willing to do whatever, and they didn't want to smile. Me, I did not have a smile on my face. So it's like, starting out is very, very hard if you have a bad attitude. Just sorry, that went on a tangent. But so yeah, so PAs minimum wage most of the time, and then overtime after 8 hours, depending on the state. But I think each state, they owe you overtime after 8 hours. Yeah. So yeah, 3 days a week is livable if you're getting overtime, but anything less than that, you have to have a side job in order to survive if you are living on your own. And that's why I say, if you are just starting out, and you are living under someone else's roof and you're not paying rent, like if you're a student or if you are living with mom and dad, uncles, whoever, you're not responsible for rent, that is the time where you're going to have to do your free gigs. Take advantage of the fact that you have no effing bills, like no rent, because as soon as you start paying rent, life gets really fucking real. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Take advantage of any type of
Feel it.
Sorry. Okay, so typical day, Ebony, keep going.
Okay, I guess it then really depends on what kind of PA you are, but this is like after you get your walkie, you get your sides, you know, make sure you have everything already prepared for the day ahead. Then you meet up with your key PA. They usually give you some sort of assignment. Usually when you start out, it's a lockup. You'll be doing lockups for a while.
Yes.
Even if there's no one there, you make sure Catherine doesn't come by and, like, you know, mess up the shot. Yeah, it's just a lot of, you know, standing around and making sure no one ruins the shot as a PA. Like, that's your main job. That's
so
what
I'm gonna contrast that. So Kit, so that was a union set. On a union set, a typical day for a PA is going to be very long. You're going to be standing a lot. You're going to be in one place, making sure no one ruins a shot and no one ruins a take with sound or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You might be in a street corner. You might be at the corner of the stage. You'll be there all day long. And then sometimes if they want to throw you a bone and they trust you enough, they'll give you like, oh, can you get the coffee order? Or can you go get breakfast for so-and-so? Or, hey, can you sit in holding for a minute while the other background PA has to go and do something? Just watch holding. Literally, you're just like there. They just need a warm body and holding. So now to contrast that, on an indie set, Kit, tell me what your first day on an indie set was like. What was a typical day for a PA?
Okay, so on an indie set, first day was basically you get in, and the first thing I was told to do was start a pot of coffee. And literally until
if you're on any of my sets, that is the priority. I swear to God, I think it was me who told Kit to do that. I was like,
yeah. And literally up until that point, I'm not a coffee drinker. And like, you know, I just didn't grow up with like a lot of those kind of like appliances and stuff like that. Anytime I needed to make coffee for myself at home, we would boil the stuff in like a regular pot and then drain it out. Like, that's how we did it. So I looked at the coffee pot and I was just like, I don't know how to work that, but I don't want to ask anybody because I don't want to look like I'm an idiot.
And that's the thing is like, she's like, she doesn't want to look stupid, but I'm telling you right now, and Ebony can vouch for this answer. Anytime anyone gives you a task on set, indie or union, you're always going to feel like that. You're always going to be like, oh my God, I don't want to look like an idiot because I don't know so-and-so. Like, I don't know how to do X, Y, Z. You're going to be like, I don't want to look stupid. And that's like across the board for all PA stuff. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Even AD stuff. Because I'm like, oh, what? If I'm just learning something new.
Yeah. So do you recommend us still asking, even though you feel that way?
So asking if you like don't know?
Right.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to answer as a PA, and then I'm going to answer as an AD. No, actually, I'm going to answer as an AD first. As an AD, if you come up and ask me, if Kit were to come up and ask me, say, okay, I don't know how to work this coffee machine, I would look her dead in the eyes and say, I don't have time for this. You have to figure it out and walk away. I'm not even kidding you. And any AD is going to say that to you. So here's the thing is that what the proper thing to do is if you're a PA, go to someone else that's on your level. And like, that is where you're going to find the answer because you don't want to go anyone above you. You want to go someone who's like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Do you want to do this? Please help me out. That's usually how it goes. Don't ask someone that's higher than you because they have a million things to think about. And all they want to know is that if you are giving me a cup of coffee yet, they don't want you to like, okay, how do I do that? No. You figure it out and then you give me what I asked for.
Yeah, and that's literally what I ended up having to do. So I actually asked one of the other PAs. I was just like, yo, do any of y'all know how to work a coffee maker? This is like luxury for me. I don't have any experience in this. So he actually taught me how to use a coffee maker. And I was just like, oh, okay, I got this. So I brewed the coffee the way that it needed to be brewed. And then this is the same day on the set. So after I got the coffee started, I started making sure that like, you know, sugar was out, cream was out. They were getting ready to order breakfast. So I was getting everybody's breakfast orders. Some of the actors had came in after like, you know, time flew by because I because I had to get there before the actors. Then the actors would get by, and then Amber was like, okay, while you're setting this up, make sure this actor is going into hair and this other actor needs to go into makeup, and then they need to switch. I'm like, okay, I got this. So I went to one actress and I was like, okay, they want you to start in hair first, and then you will go to makeup as soon as you're done. Let me know when you're done with hair so I can send you to makeup. And then I went to the other actress, and I was like, okay, they need you in makeup first, and then you will go to hair. And then in that, they were like, Amber was like, wait, they also need to be in wardrobe at some point. And I'm just like, okay, wait, hold on. So then I had to make the executive decision to be like, okay, get into hair, do your hair, do wardrobe, then go to makeup. And then for the makeup girl, I said, do your makeup, then your hair, then go to wardrobe. So that it was just,
it was
you know,
flipped, and it was like utilizing
that.
different departments at different times to make sure we're doing the whole thing as efficiently as possible. So, okay, so I don't know if you guys realize, like, between a union set and an indie set, Kit did like so much more than Ebony did on her first day. So on a union set, you're gonna be doing like one thing. On a indie set, she was like doing everything. So it was like, she was a first team PA, she was a crafty PA, she was, you know, just, she was doing everything. So I always like give the advice to anyone, like, work on an indie set, because you're going to learn so much more than work on a union set. I mean, work on a union set if you are trying to be a union AD, because you have to learn all the positions. That's going to take a number of years to do it. So it's like, but on an indie set, you're going to learn a lot more about filmmaking than you will on a union set. Just throw it out there.
It's kind of like that situation that I talk about, like, if you start off in theater, then go into film, you're in a better position than if you start off in film and then try to go into theater. Because literally, like, I would compare working on an indie set as an indie set PA is about the same thing as working as a stagehand on a theater production. Yeah. It's literally the same thing. Like, if you're a stagehand, you're doing everything. You would have to sweep the floors. You got to make sure the lighting people are doing what they need to do. So like, I would have as a light technician in theater, I would have stagehands coming to me like, oh, they need you to run this sequence that's coming up in this part of the play. And I'm like, okay, then I'll go to the board and I'll do that. Stagehand is also going to be helping out wardrobe, that kind of thing. So like, literally being a stagehand in theater is, I would equate it to being the same thing as being a set PA on an indie set. Yeah. So you're basically, you have to like be able to do everything. Like, you have two hands, but you got to act like you got 8.
So go ahead. Who's next? I'm sorry.
Marcus, it's all you, man.
I was gonna say, I would like to work on a union set eventually one day and move work up, but it's okay to work on an indie set and get my feet wet, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
The only time you can't do that is when it becomes a union thing. Like, so here's the thing. The only time it's not okay is when ADs are in the union. Once ADs enter the union, they can't work on indie sets anymore, which is such bullshit because, all right, I'm gonna gripe about the AD union thing for a second, because all the departments like camera, grip, electric, props, like, they are in a union, but they can work on an indie set. They can't. They're allowed. So it's like, if they can work on an indie set, why can't I work on an indie set? Because that's the biggest gripe right now with DGA ADs, is that they can't do indie work. And
because it's two different unions. Because IATSE covers like stagehand. It's basically the International Alliance for
umbrella
theater. Stagehand, like that kind of stuff. So they can go from theater to film, and they can work as different things if you're in IATSE versus if you're in the DGA.
Yeah, DGA like, it's so limited though. Like my next series after the PAs is like talking about DGA stuff with ADs, because a lot of people just don't know about that stuff. So I want to get into the typical day of the AD, since that was still a question that was kind of pending. So typical AD day. So now on an indie set, because I mean, I'll try and lump them both together. Usually the first AD is going to arrive on set at crew call, because I've worked my way up and I don't have to be there earlier, because there's a bunch of people who are supposed to be there earlier than me, first of all. So crew call, and then straight away, I'm going to make sure I meet the director and hopefully the DP to get them together to powwow and to have a meeting and kind of go over the day. That's the way I like to do things. Not all ADs like to do that. So I like to get everyone on the same page, especially if I feel like there's a little bit of not animosity, but maybe they're just not linking up like they should with the director and the DP. So the three of us usually have to figure out our plan for the day. I like to go over it so there's no like, oh, I didn't know we were doing this, even though it was on the call sheet. You know, I made a call sheet for what reason, right? But, you know, you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I start a private rehearsal with the actors. Sometimes it's before they're in hair and makeup. Sometimes it's after. It just depends on what the scenario asks for. So private rehearsal, then we'll have a marking rehearsal, like a blocking rehearsal, where the crew is going to watch the rehearsal. And then after that, crew is going to have the set. They're going to do camera, grip, lighting. And then actors will be whisked off to do hair, makeup, and wardrobe. And then we'll come back. And we'll do that over and over and over. And then I'll make sure that 6 hours from crew call, we make sure we call lunch. I will do last man. I'll make sure that everyone gets at least 40 minutes for lunch. Now, before all of this happens, that will go on and on until wrap. There's lots of prepping. I have to make sure things are in the right order. I have to make sure that if there is a delay in the day, like for example, if the grip team is having trouble putting together the jib for some odd reason, and they are taking way more time than I allotted for that scene, then I have to figure out what in the schedule I have to juggle. And I have to figure out what we can take out of the day, put it in the next day. So it's a lot of figuring out the puzzle for the whole production. I do a lot of people managing. I do a lot of making sure that people are getting along, that people are following safety. I have to pay attention to, sometimes it comes down to babysitting and making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I am asking every department how much time they need, because I don't say, when are you going to be done? It's how much time do you need for this task? I have to make sure that it's a lot of people managing, as in stroking people's egos, making sure no one's feelings get hurt, making sure that, you know, no one's offended by something I've said, or, you know, it's just like, it's a lot of finesse with people. And then making sure that people, this is one thing I make sure that I set goals throughout the day on my sets. I will be like, hey, by lunchtime, I want to be done with this scene. Or by this time, I want this scene to be done. I expect us to wrap at this time. Let's meet that goal. So everyone's on the same page crew-wide, you know? And sometimes I will take complaints from the crew. I am the filter between the crew and the producers. Unfortunately, it sucks. I hate it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't like dealing with people complaints, but it's just part of the job, unfortunately. People will complain about crafty. Some people will complain about their lunch being cold. Some actors will complain that they didn't get enough quiet time. Some actors will feel like they're being rushed, or they're not respected somehow, or I've gotten like complaints about someone saying something insensitive race-wise. I've gotten like all kinds of things, like, and it's like really dealing with every issue that's ever in the world happens on set, and the AD has to do it. So in my goal is to make sure we wrap in 12 hours. I have to make sure whatever the producers set out, like if the producers say, the one film I worked on, I had to do everything in 10 hours. So we had to shoot for 10 hours, and then that included wrapping in and out. So it was like, because I had to lump in travel time as well. So everything I normally would schedule for 12 hours had to be in 10 hours. So I have to know the goals of the day of the producers. And I have to communicate with the producers to make sure that they are aware of where we are in the day, if we're making the day. Like sometimes penalties are an issue, because I will be, like, I might be on an indie set, but the producers have agreed that they would follow union rules. So everyone would get a lunch penalty if we went over, stuff like that. So, I mean, a typical day for an AD is super stressful, and we're thinking about different things than a PA would, I guess you would say. We're thinking about the people above us. And also, if I don't have a second AD, I have to, once we wrap, I have to make the call sheet at the end of the night, send it out for the next day, which, it sucks, but sometimes it adds like 3-4 hours to my day. So beforehand, I've learned as an AD to prep as many call sheets as I can before we even start shooting. So when I have to do the call sheet at the end of the night, it's only like a few little changes and that's it. And I have to make sure like logistics is all in order, like fan rides, travel time in the morning, stuff like that. Oh, okay. All right. So that was an AD typical day. There was a whole lot of stuff, but anyone else have any questions right now? Like while we're
yeah. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, with the whole pandemic going on right now, any predictions when we can start shooting or no?
Oh my goodness. So I just got a document from a friend of mine, and she was like, oh my goodness, Amber, guess what? They let out a whole new document for all of the US. And I was like, what? I haven't prove the validity of this document, if it's real or not, because this has happened before with the Lionsgate document where it was like some random draft in Google Drive or something. So the last date we got was June 8th would be phase 1 for New York City, I believe. I don't know how long each phase is, because I think that's whenever Cuomo's like, oh, it's going to be this day, or we need a little more time in this phase or something. So it's all in flux, unfortunately. I hope July. I hope mid-July. Honestly, I'm hoping mid-July, but I have no idea. I mean, it sucks, but it's like no one knows because there are no set parameters. All I know is that for New York City, I believe film production is allowed to happen in phase 4. I think that phase 4 was when film production is allowed to happen.
Yeah, so, that seems legit.
Yeah.
Phase 4.
Yeah, we're a long ways away. I don't know how long this is going to take. I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, because out here in LA, they're talking like a lot of my writer friends who are staffed writers on shows, they're saying that they're doing Zoom. They're doing their staff writer, jobs like via Zoom. So they can do that and they can plan out the season for like the shows that they're working on. Okay, so I'll just use one example. So one of my friends from school, she is actually one of the staff writers for NCIS New Orleans. So she was telling us that they just started up doing the writer's room via Zoom, and they're hoping to start getting scripts in July to prepare to possibly start shooting in late August, maybe September.
Oh my God.
So LA is looking at starting up everything, starting up the filming of everything in September, which will actually mean that a lot of the shows that would come back in September, because they're shooting in August to come back in September, like they'll have at least the first 2 or 3 episodes already done by the time August is finished, so that they can start airing it in late September, because that's when fall seasons for like a lot of shows begin. But because they're aiming to start shooting in mid-September, there's a big chance that a lot of those shows are gonna have their premieres pushed to like, I would assume like October or something, which is considered late in the game for like primetime television shows that are already, like they shoot Grey's Anatomy here in LA. They shoot what else?
No, I'm waiting for the Good Doctor. Good Doctor shoots in LA, right?
No, the Good Doctor shot in Canada.
What?
Yeah.
It's a Canadian show, dude.
No.
Yeah, it's Canadian.
Oh my God, for real? I didn't know.
No, Canada has their own
it was shot in Canada.
So, and Canada has their own like thing going on, because Canada is more protected from the COVID than we are, because America sucks, we're just that. So like there might be a little bit different. Maybe they might, I don't know a lot of people who are working on Canadian sets, but I can only speak for people who are working on LA sets. And in one case,
I mean, we can't work for Canada anyways, because no one wants Americans on their damn set, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to be like, no one wants Americans anywhere because we're so careless with everything, unfortunately, and that's the way we're seen around the world. So it's I didn't answer a question. Let's see, Natalia was asking about the wage for ADs. Are you asking about union or are you asking about indie? Because it's very different. I guess I can just give you both, because an indie AD first starting out could get $250 a day. maybe. And that's like a PA wage in New York City is $210 a day, but with overtime, $250, $260. With bigger productions, I could get $500, $600 a day on indie stuff, $350, $450. And then with ADs, it's like you're getting sometimes, with all ADs, and sometimes with indie sets is you'll get prep days. You'll get paid for prep days, and then I'll get paid for wrap days. So I'll get shooting days, which is a higher rate, and then a lower rate for like prep days and wrap days, because I'm not working a 12 or 16-hour day. I'm working a 6 or 8-hour day. Now in the union world, I believe, let's see, second ADs make about $530 a day. Key second ADs make $845 a day. And first ADs make $1,086 a day. Now that's on tier 1. And what I mean by tier 1 is on the first season of a show, or if a movie is tier 1, so based on their budget. So if they go up in tier, so if, for example, Good Doctor's in season 4, right, they would have a much higher rate than the season 1 show. So it all depends. I'm waiting for that $1,000 day, just saying. That's my goal, to get that $1,000 a day.
I think that's like everyone's goal.
Yeah, I'm waiting to get staffed on a show as a writer, because minimum, even if you're not, like, once you're staffed on a show, then you have to become WGA. So that's like my goal. And then like starting off per week is about, they say per week it's like at least $900 per week.
Yeah. So and also for she's waiting for that cash in day. For ADs in a union, if you complete a show, so you do the whole season, you get a bonus of like a couple $1,000. If you go over 16 hours, you get paid for a double day. So like is it 16 or 12? Yeah, 16 hours, you get a double day. So for example, the AD that will most likely get a double day is the second AD, because they're there for like the entire day. First ADs will be at crew call and out at camera wrap, so they don't usually go in overtime. Because first ADs, their overtime starts at after 18 hours, but seconds, they get a double day, meaning if they're getting $530, they're going to get, that $1,000, for that. So let's see. Oh, you guys are talking about the phases and stuff. I don't know. I heard that phase 2 will be July. Oh God, phase 2 in July, a whole month in phase 1. We're never going to get to production,
every
guys.
Phase lasts between a few weeks to a month, because they go through one phase, see how the coronavirus cases rise or lower before they move on to the next one. The number needs to keep on declining before they go into the next phase. If it goes up,
Yeah, some people are asking about the protests and how like that's affecting the numbers, and I think I just saw, I don't know, I can't trust any outlet anymore about the numbers, because people are like, oh, the protests are bad, but it's like, no, protests aren't bad. I don't want to get into political things right now, but they're saying like 21,000 new cases since the protests started, but I don't know. I have no idea the facts about that. I don't know. It's just like so up in the air. It sucks, but
I'm lucky I'm in the valley and I don't drive, because down below is like crazy.
Yeah,
like,
it's yeah.
I was gonna ask, when does your PA class start in the city?
So right now, it's still scheduled for the 28th, and that was based on phases, and that was based on like when things are going to be opened. Maybe we should make a movie. But I mean, it's still scheduled for the 28th, so I mean, I don't know when I should postpone it. I mean, there's a whole, I'm like, oh, if I postpone it, I have no idea. So for now, it's still scheduled 28th.
Were you trying to do it in person or through Zoom?
Yeah, it was supposed to be in person, because it's like I have to look into like the whole walk, because I rent the walkie, so you guys can actually like get hands-on.
Yeah.
To walkie, use it, all that stuff. So that's another thing I have to figure out, if those rental places are gonna even be open, or because I doubt it. I don't even think right now it's not even. I'm gonna be optimistic and say I can still have it on the 28th, but I don't know. I who knows? I have no idea. But I mean, I still think every week I'm like, okay, is it going to be, do I have to postpone it this week? Do I have to postpone it? But right now I'm in the creating my online course. I'm actually doing an outline today. So hopefully I can still get the information out to people who want it. I don't know. Let's see. So we've been doing this for an hour, folks. Anyone else have any more questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's about age, because shoot, I'm 27. I'm knocking on 30.
You are young.
Okay.
I'm
You are
30.
young. I'm sorry. You are
I
young.
started
Don't
at
even
28.
try it. Okay.
No.
I'm sorry.
Age is not an answer.
But age doesn't play a part in this, does it?
Okay. So here's the thing: is I mean, I think Kit and Ebony know this about me. I don't tell anybody how old I am, and that goes for indie sets. That goes for union sets.
You're 28.
What?
You're 28, right?
so I mean, everyone's always trying to guess my age. You're trying to say I'm older than 28?
No. See, don't do that.
No, it's okay. Depending on what I do to my face and what I wear and how I wear my hair, my age can be so ambiguous. People have no idea how old I am. If I wear a hoodie, people think I'm 22 years old. It's like, I don't know. But I don't tell anyone how old I am, and that's because I think that there is still a stigma for anyone that's older than 25 on set, if you're a PA or whatever. And I just don't agree with that. I just don't like it. I don't agree with it. It's no one's damn business how old you are. As long as I can do the job and I'm doing a good job, it shouldn't matter how old I am. As you know, and people ask me all the time because especially my peers, like I have, if you guys watch the background PA video, Zach, who's in that video, he spent the entire season of Enemy Within trying to figure out how old I was. he's like, Amber, so what was your favorite band in such a year? And I was like, oh my God, stop it. Like, or when did you graduate again? Or how old is your husband? I'm like, oh my goodness, what year did you get married? Like, he's like, and I always have one person on each set trying to figure out how old I am. And I'm just like, for me, it's like a fun game, but I'm like, I'm never going to tell anybody. I'm sure if you dig far enough in my social media, you can probably figure out how old I am. But I think it's just wise for it to just not come up. And people who are young too, it could, for people who are older or for people who are worried about age as in being just like too old to work, there is, and this is the first time I ever looked at this, is when I met a PA. Her name is Stephanie, and we call her Saffron on New Amsterdam.
Saffron.
Yeah, I love Saffron. So she is on the other end. Now, she is very young, and she doesn't like how people treat her that way because she is young and because she has a young face. She is seen as inexperienced, or she is seen as she doesn't know what she's doing. So age can play both ways. It's like, some people will look at me in my position and be like, wait, you're not an AD yet, which is a compliment to me. But it's like, well, first of all, you're insulting my success rate because I'm on my own path, first of all. But then looking at Saffron, who might be younger, and they're looking at her like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So people don't listen to her. So it's like how you hold yourself. Like some people, if you have a young face, it's like they don't trust you. So it's like it could go either way. It's all about how you hold yourself on set. Because me, even if I don't know what I'm doing, as a PA, like when I first started out and like when I started to have a good attitude and I was like, no, I need to get staff jobs. I was like, I looked like I was in control. And especially when I got more AD jobs, I was like thinking like an AD. So people all looked at me like I knew what I was doing already. So it was like, you just gotta have the confidence and be like, this is how we're supposed to do it. So it can go either way, unfortunately.
Yeah, I want to add to that because literally everywhere I go, it does, like, but especially in the industry, but literally everywhere I go, or anywhere I work, people like literally assume that I'm younger than I really am. And like, if like, let's say they were like, because a lot of times they throw their age out at me and they're like, okay, I'm this age, how old are you? And I'm whatever.
So why are you competing? I don't understand why this is a thing. Like,
yeah, so like literally anywhere I have worked, whether it's in retail or the entertainment, they're like, oh, I'm this age and I know more than you because I'm older than you. And I'm like, listen, I grew up with that kind of nonsense. Like, I don't need this from you, especially because you're not family. Because a lot, like in Caribbean culture, it's kind of like one of those hierarchy things where it's like, okay, I'm older than you, so I automatically know more than you. And like that's not 100% true. Like, and even if it was true, like you should be willing to teach me what you know, not talk down to me. And then the shock is when I do end up telling them my age offset or whatever, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I thought you were younger than me. And it's like, and then the lesson for them
matter. Even if I was younger than you, you know what I mean? It's like, what does it, I mean, I can, if people look at me and they're like, oh, well, you seem young. I'm like, do I have to really, oh, I've been in the business for 15 years or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, we don't have to prove each other this whole competing bullshit game. It's like so stupid. It's like, we should just focus on the task at hand. I don't know.
Exactly.
It's very frustrating.
Do you, just one last question. I'm just trying to,
it's fine.
I'm just trying to figure a lot of stuff out. And I know I just have to play it just the way it goes. And for someone like me who I have a dream of wanting to get into the business, I do want to direct, you know, things like that. I want to end up in LA one day. Do you have any advice on how that can go? How that, I don't know, because I'm just confused at the moment.
Are you, like, is it a question on relocating for the dream? Is that what the question is?
That, I mean, if partly it's like, well, should I just start here and then meet people and work my way through? You know, I'm just trying to.
Okay, so
I'm an overthinker.
No, it's totally fine because I mean, I was in that position too, like, because I'm originally from Buffalo, and Buffalo does have a small film community, but I was like, not big enough for me. I'm getting out of this town. I'm going to the big sets, you know. So when I was obsessed. I wanted to go to LA. That was like, I'm going to California. I love California. I'm going there. And I moved there. I relocated there. But I mean, so many things I was worried about. Am I going to find an apartment? What job I'm going to have right away? I mean, I went there with a job already lined up and it fell through once I got there. It's a whole, anything can happen. I didn't go there with a lot of money. I went in my car, whatever was in my car. I did the road trip all by myself. And I like, that night I found an apartment. Like, I didn't have an apartment going into it. So it's like, there's a lot of risk involved. If you're willing to make the sacrifice of luxury or being comfortable, then that's something that you need to consider is like, what are you willing to put up with, first of all? And saving money, because how are you might not get a job, you might not get that side gig either. It's like getting that side gig is sometimes just as hard as getting like a film gig. It's just like, Jesus Christ, it's so hard to get any job nowadays. So relocating to LA is a big, but you're in the middle, so you can go either way because you're in Chicago, right? You said it was like New York, or you can go to any of those major cities basically, but it's like you have to think about cost of living, what the minimum wage is, and if so here's the thing is, when I think about networking and what job market you want to actually pursue your goal. So for now, for me being in New Jersey, New York City, and me pursuing the DGA dream, I have to stay in New York. See what I'm saying? Because if I get into the union, I'm on the East Coast union and I can work in the third zone. So the first zone is New York, or I think it's whatever. So it's LA, New York, and the third zone is anywhere else in the States. Okay. So I can work anywhere else but LA, but I have to stay in New York. So it's like, you have to think about whatever track you're going on. I think directors is a little bit different, obviously, but like, that's something you have to think about is like, once you start to network in a certain city, if you move to a different city, you have to start all over again. You have to so like I moved to LA first, and then I did the whole cruise ship thing for 2 years, and then I was like, no, I want to be in New York. It's closer to my family. East Coast is more my attitude, the way I live, the way I talk, whatever. I was like, I just don't fit in with LA folks. I just don't. I learned that the hard way. So New York was more my speed, and then I was like, I had to start all over again, starting from square one, where I had already started to get on sets on LA. I did the PA boot camp out there. I did that out there, and then when I moved to New York, I had to start all over and like cold email and just start from square one. So, and it's the same thing if you start as a PA and then you like make your way into, I don't know, maybe it might be just on the side, you do prop work or something. So you get to know the prop people in LA. So now it's like, well, you can ask them like, hey, do you know any New York folks that can help me in the prop department in New York? But it's like, they may not know other people. So it's like, you have to start all over again every time you move. And some people like that. Some people hate that. So it's like, how good are you with not being secure in your everyday life? How do you feel about the spontaneity of what your life could be, depending on, So it's like, I know you're an overthinker and it's like not a lot of clear answers, but only because
Right.
it's like you don't know what's going to come your way.
Right.
Save some money, get enough for a deposit and first month's rent. Do your research in the city that you want to do work in, because if you want to work in LA, Kit, what's the going rate for rent there for a 1-bedroom apartment or for a studio?
If you know where to look, and it really depends on where you are. I'm in the Valley, so I'm not in LA City.
Proper.
I'm not in LA City.
And no one really lives in the city of LA. Like when I lived in there, I lived in Pasadena and I lived in Koreatown, which is like,
right.
you know,
Yeah, that's technically the city. But
yeah,
I'm I'm like literally in San Fernando Valley, so rent is actually a little bit cheaper up here than it is if you are going to the city. But if you know where to look, maybe you could square off getting a 1-bedroom apartment, like a 1 bed 1 bath, or maybe even a studio. A lot of them start off at like $1,200 a month, and then it goes up from there. In the Valley versus in the city, a studio may start off at $1,500.
Yeah.
So like it really depends. Like I'm up here and I have a 2-bed 2 bath, but my roommate is about to like leave, so I'm about to have this place to myself, so I got to figure out that.
Also, I was going to add, like with the apartment search, when you are relocating, if you have family members or friends, or, I mean, couch surfing isn't really a thing anymore because it's like once the pandemic hit, people weren't using couch surfing the way it was, but you can stay with friends until you get an apartment. But some friends aren't like about to make that commitment because it's so open-ended.
Yeah.
You might get out of their apartment.
I have tea on that, and I'm not gonna spill all the tea on that, but basically, like, if you are gonna move to a different city, like, make sure that you are going to be in constant communication with the friend that you're going to be technically couch surfing on, because like things could happen in their lives and they could totally switch on you. And I'm totally throwing this girl under the bus because she was horrible to me. We're in a weird purgatory state of friendship versus not friendship because of what the heck she did to me when I came back and I was looking for my apartment. So it's kind of like, damn, like I don't even really be asking for people for help like that to begin with. So when I do ask for help, I'm asking because I'm desperate, and then this is how you treat me. Like how, like, so you like it really is like, you really gotta like, it's a really fine line that you're dancing on when it comes to that. So my situation is different. All of my family is on the Atlantic side of the world, whether they're in the Caribbean or they're in New York. They're on the Atlantic side of the world. I'm on the Pacific side of the world. So like literally like all like literally 98% of my friends and family are in New York. So I am technically out here by myself.
Yeah.
So but that was the sacrifice that I had to make because I knew where I wanted to go in terms of like the career path that I wanted to do. Like I've always considered myself a writer, like whether it was writing fan fictions or writing like novels that I never got a chance to publish, or we're not going to talk about that, or whatever. I also grew up like, you know, doing entertainment. Like I did dancing. I studied dance for 10 years. I did singing in like my school's choir and like after school program. Like I did all of that. So I knew I wanted to be in entertainment, but like I had to like really sit down with myself and be like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I need to figure out a way to get there, even if it's like, I want to be on some sort of a path that's going to lead to that. Yeah. But this is my end goal. And for me, my end goal is writing for a television show, because that's the way I like to tell like my stories. Like with a film, you tell it and then it's like that. And then if you want to continue the story, then you got to write a sequel. It's like, you might as well be on a television show at that point, like multiple seasons.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to just interact. Goodness, now I forgot. So the apartment search, and it really depends on if you do room sharing or apartment sharing. So I would think that the cheaper option is always to like rent a room. That's how I started out in LA and New York. Is my first stop was sharing an apartment and renting a room, because like thinking that you're gonna relocate and get your own apartment is like, unless you have a ton of money saved up, that's just not gonna be a viable option. Like
Yeah.
My first apartment was in the Bronx, and it was like with a family. Like I went to the room with a family, and I was like, dude, I just need to like live in the city. I just needed to be close. So it's just whatever, you know. I mean, she was
That
nice.
can be kind of fun though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and it's like you're not alone too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends, because with cities like LA and New York, it can be the busiest, lonely place ever. I hated New York when I first moved to New York. I hated it because it was like I was struggling. I didn't have any money. I didn't know anybody. I took the subway every day for an hour in a sardine can, and I was like, I don't know anybody here. I'm not making any friends. But then that was me with my bad attitude. So who knows? It could have been way different. But it's tough starting out. So just, I mean, top tips, I would say save your money. Get enough for at least 2 or 3 months of a deposit for your apartment and for your rent. So also, it is very hard to get an apartment because people want you to do the credit application, and like you have to have like your move history and where you've lived forever and like your employment history. But it's like if you just relocated, it's like you don't have any of that stuff. You have to start all over, and you're like starting from scratch. So I would say that invoke your inner con man because that's what you're going to have to do. And I'm not saying lie, but you have to do what you have to do to live. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because like, I mean, I could tell you like all these things that I was like, oh yeah, sure. I worked there for 5 years. Do they look at that stuff? I'm not saying commit fraud, but it's like, you just may have to embellish on certain things to get a certain apartment. Or, I mean, you have to find those the apartments where it is by the owner and not by the broker and through a company, because sometimes it'll be more flexible that way.
If it's through a broker company, you have to pay a broker fee, so you have to pay for that.
It's so expensive.
We don't got time.
Jesus. Yeah, it's so expensive.
And also, can I add something about credit?
Yeah.
If you have not decent credit, but your payment history is good, like let's say your credit history is like in the low 500s, but you made all of your payments to your debt on time, a lot of times that can actually save you.
Yeah.
Versus if you have good credit but your payment history is crap, like, because like when you're renting, what they're looking for is, can you make the payments on time? So even if your credit score is a little bit on the low side, of course, work towards getting a higher credit score. But the main thing that you want to make sure, like if your credit score is not that great, the main thing that you want to make sure is that you pay your stuff on time. Even if it's the minimum, pay your stuff on time, because that's more so what landlords are going to be looking at is, can you pay your bills on time? Even if your credit is a little bit janky. So like if I had to say pick a struggle, let the struggle be you're paying the minimum amount on your credit cards or whatever, but just pay them on time or even earlier. And then if you can afford to pay more per month, just keep doing that, but make sure your payment history is really good, because if your payment history is under 97%, that takes a hit to your credit more than how much debt you have.
Yeah. Okay. So Marcus, I feel like we just hit you with a ton of bricks. You're just like, oh Jesus, this is gonna happen. I don't want you to feel like that. It's just like, we're just trying to warn you with a lot of the stuff that you could encounter. And I just want you to know that in filmmaking, in relocating, in pursuing the film dream, it's like, you're gonna make mistakes, and you have to allow yourself to make those mistakes. Okay. Nothing's gonna be perfect, and we're human beings, and we fuck up sometimes. Nothing is going to be what you expect it to be. And sometimes if it doesn't turn out the way you expect it to be, sometimes it just turns out better than you expected. Yeah. So it was like, kind of, I don't want anyone to get bogged down, because I know sometimes, like even in my first PA class, and I don't know, Ebony, if you remember, my overall attitude, I remember I was very negative. I was like, listen guys, this is how it can really, I really emphasized on how hard it could be. And then when I did my second PA class, and then I had one of my industry friends come, and she did like some BTS for me. And she was like, you know what you should add? Probably some more like, what are the good things about being a PA? And I was like, you know what? You're probably right. They need the positive aspect. It's like, I remember in the PA boot camp that I took in LA, it was like one of the best things that someone said, and I will always remember, was every day is very, very hard and it's very difficult. But every now and then, you're going to get that really great moment. That moment that makes you say, I am so glad I do what I do and I'm in this for this. It's that moment that makes you say, yes, I am on the right path. It's like that good moment. And it could be anything. Like for me, it's like sometimes when I'm at a great location and I can't believe I'm there, like shooting at the UN or something like that. Or when you're at the top of like some skyscraper that no one else can access, but you have access to see, you know, what's there. So it's like, it's just, I mean, those moments you really have to hold on to, because those good moments, those precious moments will get you through those shitty moments on set. You know, like, why am I working 8 hours a week? Why am I sacrificing my whole life? Because when you work 70, 80 hours, even 60 hours a week, you're like, you don't have enough time to do laundry. I remember on one of my first sets, I was working so much on set that by the time the weekend came, I was so tired and I was like, I have to do laundry. But it was like that just simple task of like doing laundry was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this right now? I am so tired and exhausted. It's like, you don't want to do anything else. So it's like, you really need those good moments. So, I mean, and hopefully there are more good moments than bad moments, but I just want to, you know, keep the light at the end of the tunnel because it is rewarding. I mean, when I did the PA interviews, they were saying, you know, I asked them, I was like, what's one word to describe a PA? One positive and one negative. And almost every PA friend that I had or any AD friend, they're like, it's rewarding. I was like, what the fuck is everyone saying the same thing? And I think both Kit and Ebony said rewarding. I think one person
I said fulfilling.
But fulfilling.
Yeah, I said like the same thing, but like still the same family.
Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't believe, I was like, everyone's saying it's rewarding, and I don't know if I would have said that if I was asked that question. I'm not sure, but I'm like, what's one good thing about being a PA? And I'm like, I don't know how I'd answer that question, but everyone said rewarding. So it's like, because I think it's just like a position where it's like, you can't believe you're there consuming all the knowledge that is there. And it's like, especially if you start talking to crew members, it'll blow your mind. You're like, holy shit, I didn't know that about this slide or that dolly grip or like that dolly that grip is. Like, I remember just like talking to one of the grips and I was like, hey, it's like, we're not doing anything right now. How do you use this thing and how do you make it move and and it's like way more complicated than I ever thought ever. And that's me being the age I am now. I learned how to use a dolly. Like, do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. You're like, whoa. Like you learn something new every day. So it's like, I mean, it's for me, sometimes it's just really unbelievable, but
would you all recommend me still trying to do PA work even here in Chicago?
Yes.
Even
yes.
though,
Yeah, because that's only going to help your resume. And if you can anywhere, for sure. Like, I mean, that's how I got all of the stuff that I did. Like when I was in Buffalo, I had like, by the time I left Buffalo, I had commercial credits, feature film credits, any little thing I did. And what I will say is this, some people forget about this. On your resume, make sure to put those one-day gigs. And you'll get a lot of those. It might be a commercial, it might be a music video, it might be one-day short film. That counts. Okay, even if it's one day, you put it on your resume. I don't care what it was. If it was a free PSA for the Red Cross, like, it doesn't matter what it was. You learned that day. You have gained that experience. It should be on your resume, big or small. So a lot of people forget those one-day gigs, but like that's what made up half my resume for like 5 years when I first started out. And my AD resume for that matter. Like, you know how many one-day short films I did as an AD? It's ridiculous. There's so many things like that out there.
Is this, I know I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Apologize.
Is this, is this type of resume, would this be separate from just a regular resume?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I have
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have three, now 4 different resumes. I have my theater resume, my film resume, my regular job resume, and now I have to create an entertainment resume.
Yeah. For me, like, I have a resume with just my AD stuff on it. Then I have a resume with my AD and my staff PA union stuff on it. And then I have one that's just like mostly PA stuff. So it's like, some productions don't want to see that I have AD experience. So it just depends. And like when I'm doing the tour guide stuff for student travel groups, it's like that's a totally different one. That one will look completely different than the production resume. So have you seen the resume page on Beyond Film School website?
No.
No. Okay. So I'm gonna send you a screenshot of what my production resume looks like.
Okay.
You're gonna have my phone number and stuff, but that's fine. I mean, if you want to harass me, I know where to find you. Let me just look this up really quick. So like, I think I can give you a screenshot of what my like tour guide resume looks like versus what my production resume looks like, because the tour guide one is like more corporate. This is what everyone wants to see everywhere. And let's see. I think this is my most recent one. Okay, let me do this. I think I should be able to send it to you guys. I don't know if I'm able to share it to you guys. Oh
no. When you're done with that question, I actually have another question as far as like finding job availability right now.
Oof, there's nothing shooting right now.
There's nothing right now.
I know that. I'm talking about like when everything happened, because my fear is that, to tell you the truth, the only ways I know how to find gigs is through Facebook groups or film site. But I'm feeling like once the once phase 4 hits in New York, at least, and we can all start to film again, that the floodgates are going to be open, and those who are in the outside of the industry, both indie and union, is going to be even more difficult to get in. And every time I log into, like, for example, Facebook groups, and there's a job opportunity I'm interested in, there's like 80 other comments of people, hitting up. So it's like,
let me look for something really quick. I think Ebony and Kit can probably answer that for you. Hold on one second.
Yeah. Okay.
Could you find jobs at like film festivals?
I actually worked a film festival. You can find, it's all about networking. I actually made a few connections with directors by working a film festival. So that's definitely possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah,
I worked, what is it? The Urban Action Network. It is a Black ran like film festival for, what is it like karate movies and stuff like that. It takes place in Times Square. It was actually so fun. I actually ended up, because of my PA experience, I had to teach everyone else how to use walkies.
No.
So they remember you, and then like I now have references because some of them actually work for HBO.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Some of these film festival jobs are on Indeed, the site Indeed.com.
Yep, that's how I did it.
I'm just trying to find a hard copy of my resume so I can actually just show it on screen without because I don't know if I can share it through the group, but yeah, so what did you guys say about the job prospects for everybody?
Right. Okay. So for the job prospects, during this pandemic, if someone asks you to work on their set, run.
Oh yeah.
They don't care about your well-being.
Yeah.
I've had to tell so many people this.
For sure. Yeah.
Nobody should be on a set right now with everything that's going on right now. So it's one thing if they're posting for the hope of like, okay, in a couple of months, everything should be okay. But if they're talking about we need people now, no.
Run for the hills.
So what I will say, the last thing that I heard from Devani was saying like, oh, when I go on NYC Filmmakers or whatever, it's like 80 comments. Now, a lot of that, sorry, my dog is like walking around and stuff. A lot of that is like the right time, right place thing, because like if you're the first one to answer, that's sometimes how it happens. You got to be there with the notifications on and like stalking that page for the gig, unfortunately, because there are so many people. But then that's just like, you have to be a part of multiple groups too. So you just have to like have as many, like don't put your eggs all in one basket, unfortunately. And like hopefully when film production comes back, like all the studios right now are like buying up all the space because they know they're going to be overbooked. And right now they're building out their studios more and more because they know that they're on back order right now. So back order, like they have space for the shows that are scheduled originally. And now all the ones that were postponed, everything's just piling on top of each other. So it's hopefully it's going to be a floodgate situation. Hopefully. Let's see. I wish there was a way to share a file. I don't think I can do it, but let's see. I can actually, yeah, let's do this. I'll send the link. I'll send a link over to my resume, and then you guys take a look.
If you want to share it through Zoom, when you open the chat, it'll say file. And then when you press that, it'll tell you different ways to like get it.
It doesn't tell me that though.
Really? Oh, that's so weird.
Okay, I have the chat, and it says more.
Near your type box, really? Maybe it looks. No, not the more. It doesn't have a file. It doesn't say file next to the 3 dots.
Womp womp.
Oh man.
All right. Let's see. I can just share a link though. I can just do that.
This is totally not a film question, but I didn't realize there's 4 phases for New York City.
Yeah.
Or more. I didn't realize. I thought it was like maybe up to phase 3.
Nope, it's 5 phases, and we start.
Oh my God, that could be well into the fall.
Yeah, who knows? So Marcus, I just sent a link. So if you want to open up my resume, you guys can all look if you want to. And Ebony, if you actually end up being able to share that file, I don't know, I have no idea. But so this resume is a lot of lines. It's very easy to look at. You have to have it to be like aesthetically pleasing. I remember Kit's resume both your resumes were like really good. Anything that is like looking nice for a resume and you organize your information well, like that's my top tip for resumes. But it's not going to be a lot of, this is what I did during that job. You know what I mean? Like it's not a lot of that. Like you have and a lot of people skip over objectives now, which I think if you're just starting out, the objective just gives them who's hiring you like a way to get to know you a little bit. Like what are you trying to achieve? Because it's like if you have no film experience or little to none, then they have to know where you're going. How is this job helping you, and how are you able to help me and stuff? So Mark, do you see what that looks like? Do you see it?
No, I can't even open it. Well, it's saying
I didn't receive a link.
You go into the chat. The chat is there.
Yeah, I have the chat open. I've seen a link.
It says that I have to request access, and then
I'll give you access. Hold on.
Oh, that's so weird.
That is supposed.
I don't see a link over here.
Hold on. Let me. Everyone. Okay, there we go. Oh, there it is. Boom. Okay, so I'm gonna do. All right, I'm sharing a screenshot of my resume. It should come to you guys in a couple seconds.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
I don't know how old this one is. I think it's like fairly new. I think just this past, like this is really like my newest one. So
you sent it to the chat?
Yeah, I sent it to everyone. It's a screenshot, and it says click to open.
Let me see.
Does anyone have it? Does anyone see it?
No.
Yeah, I have it.
There we go. Marcus, you still don't have it.
It's a screenshot in the chat.
It's a screenshot in the chat. Yeah. Did you see it? Did you see my resume though? You see it?
I see your link.
That's the link. You have to press the link.
I did. It still says I have to request access.
That's weird. I have it open on mine.
Okay. Let me go to my email, so at least you'll be able to. There we go. Okay, she got it.
Cool.
Let me see.
Okay, I got your sharing settings.
Oh wait, oops. Uh-oh. Didn't mean to do that.
Okay, you should be able to open it now, Marcus.
All right. Oh yeah, I see it.
Okay. So this probably wasn't like, this is probably like when people first see a production resume, they're like, what, what is this? Like it looks completely different, like what everyone is telling you what your resume should look like.
And this is okay. I can have it like this.
Yes.
Okay.
It needs to be easy for the person to look at. Now, if you're, and I think the only difference is if you're applying to like a production company versus someone who is hiring you as an AD, or a producer is hiring you. So it will, like, if you're an intern trying to get an internship at a company, then you have to go a little bit more corporate. But if you're applying for a freelance gig situation, you're trying to get on someone's sets, that's what this should look like. It has to be easy. Now, after this, I think when you start getting more union gigs and you have to give your resume to like key second ADs when they want to hire you as staff, a lot of them like to see the second that you worked with or the key seconds you worked with on there. So rather than having the company, you might have the name of the ADs that you've worked with before. I don't do that because I don't want to. That's the same. Like I want it to be the way I want it to be. So I mean, either they take my word for it or not. Like I don't. But then here's the thing: is that if you put the show, like for example, it has Pose on there. There's Enemy Within. All the ADs that work in New York know each other. So when I got hired in Enemy Within, I may have gotten hired by the second, but he doesn't give me the final answer on whether or not I was hired until he checks over with all the other ADs. So it's all like a collective thought process of, do we want to hire this person? So you have to be approved by all the ADs when you're getting a job as a staff PA. And so if they see Pose or they see Enemy Within and they see, you know, so-and-so show, they know who the ADs are on those shows. Like the ADs on Bull and the ADs on Orange is the New Black haven't changed in like so many seasons. I know Orange is over, but like in 7 seasons, they didn't really change their ADs the entire time. So it's like they all know each other. And if you start getting a bad rep, then you're going to get less jobs because they'll call up their AD friend and say, hey, how was Amber on Pose? And, you know, and I remember, and this is how I realized that people talk so much behind your back is this key second was like, yeah, I checked up on you. I talked to so-and-so about you and how you did on that job. And she said it in such a way I was like, oh God, well, I'm here. So I guess it was good. You know what I mean? I mean, like the way she said it was like really nasty, but just know that as a PA, people talk about you, whether it's good or bad, and it can go either way. But people, if they know someone who hired you, they're gonna find out the gossip on you.
Yeah. That's why it's always a good idea to be on your best A game behavior on a set, because you never know who's watching. You never know who knows who. Like people, people have like eyes in the back of their heads on the set, so you never know who's watching. Like I have my own personal list of who I would want to work with, who would be good on this set versus if I see this person's name on this set, I am running for the hills because I do not like the way this person works on the set.
So I just have a question. This did I sort my experience based on date or most recent? So on my resume, I don't put dates because they don't matter. In my opinion, they don't matter. They were a waste of space. Because here's the thing, is that when I was first starting out, I had gaps in my experience, and all that's going to do is create doubt when you're in an interview or when they're looking over your resume. So I sort my resume by whatever I did, the last thing I did, that is at the top. So Bleep, Chronicles of a Bleep-Year-Old Woman, that was like one of the last things I did in January. And from there, I go down like chronologically. But I don't put dates because it's like, why? It's just a waste. I think it's just a waste of space, and there are better ways to utilize the space in your resume than just putting dates. And especially like dates for graduation, like that doesn't matter in the grand scheme. I don't want to see your GPA on there unless you have the space to waste and you have to fill your resume and make it look better. Then you can put all the fluff in there, and then you can make it look like, yeah, well, I've done all these things when it's like a lot of fluff. But like you just have to keep in mind that like dates don't really matter. Especially when they meet me, they're not going to be like, oh, well, you worked on this such and such time ago. Do you remember working on it? Well, yeah, of course, because all the things you learn on set are like accumulative. Like it all just builds on each other. So does anyone else have any questions about resumes while we're on this resume thing. No? Great. I don't want to hear about resumes ever again. Just kidding. But so resumes are, I mean, if you ever want me to review your resumes, you can always just shoot me an email and say, hey, can you look this over? Give me your opinion. And I always give you at least one free round of notes. And those notes are not sugar-coated. They're just that. Yeah, I will give you, I'm like, listen, you don't need this on here. Why are you doing this? It seems pretty harsh, but I know it helps a lot of people out to be like, hey, this is my, you know, because I try to give you the perspective of what the person hiring you might think. So, all right. So this is, the last call for questions before we end it here. Devani is like, God damn it, I want to get on set. When I want jobs to come back. He's like, when are the jobs coming back?
We're all wondering the same. I miss
know.
being on set so much.
I know. So if
I'm free from school, so I can work on sets now. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
Is office PA harder?
Yeah, is office PA easier or harder than set PA? I wish I had Alan on this call. Alan is like my go-to office PA versus set PA because he's done both. But he thinks, I'll give you the gist of like office PA versus set PA. I am a set person. I love being on set. I don't like being in an office. I don't like sitting at a desk. Therefore, I'll probably never be a producer. I'll never be, some people like being in the office sometimes, but producers like the go-between. You can be on set, you can be in the office, whatever. I don't like being in meetings. I don't like any of that stuff. So an office PA, if you love that situation, that's fine. You love being in the office. That might be your speed. But a lot of the people who start out as set PAs find their way into the office because they talk to the office people and say, hey, how can I get to be an office PA? And I think that it's about the same, trying to cut into both, trying to break into both positions, because it's all about getting to know people. It's all about like trying to, work your way up. Because let's see, Alan, how he did it, he's a PA in all the production assistant videos that I have on YouTube right now. And he's done office PA, wardrobe PA. He's been background, first team. He's been a walkie PA. He's done every PA position I think ever. I think he's only not been an editing PA, for God's sake. But he likes being on set more. And he thought being an office PA was boring, but he used being an office PA to get on set. And vice versa. Like he'll get on, just as long as he gets on a job, he's happy basically. But it's just as hard to get in the office as it is on set, I think. I don't know if anyone else has any other opinions about Kit or Ebony, if you have any more.
I have been trying to find an office PA position for so long, it's nearly impossible. Yeah,
so here's the thing, is that when you start being a staff PA, which I feel like you're on the cusp of being a staff PA.
I'm like right there, I feel it.
You're right there. So once you start getting into staff PA, it's really great. It's nothing like being an additional PA. It's nothing like being a day player PA. I love being a staff PA. It is, you get to be part of the family, you're there every day. You get to know everybody and you get to know people in the office too. So if I think your next move hopefully should be a walkie PA or, because walkie PA, the good thing about being a walkie PA, it's way more than that. And that's one of the videos that are coming up. We'll explain walkie.
If for a music video.
Well, I mean, but for a long job.
Oh yeah, for a long time, I understand. Totally different.
So for walkie PA, it's like you have the freedom to move around a lot, and you get to talk to every crew member. Especially when you do the card game on Friday, you get to talk to every crew member, and that includes going to the office. So when you are able to move around so much, and you can hit up the office and talk to the office PAs or the production coordinator or the assistant office production coordinator, you'll be able to navigate your way. I'm confident once you have a staff gig, you're gonna get in there, and you're gonna be like hiring me one day. Because you're gonna be Ebony.
I'm trying to get to a producer.
Way higher on the pecking order. When they get to their big jobs, they're gonna be like, hey, I knew Amber back in the day. And be like, hi Amber. They're gonna be making 6 figures, and I'm gonna be still ADing on set because I like being on set and I hate being in the creative meetings. I hate that stuff.
I'm used to the meetings. Perks of background of being a graphic designer. Only reason why I'm used to it. I had no background in film when I started out. I just said yes to an opportunity, found out that I love film, and I stuck with it.
That's the way to go. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. If anyone has any last questions, last call. How have you had the chance to work in music videos, and how different is it? Oh God, yes. I did a couple of, I think all of us have done music videos.
Yeah.
Now, I've done music videos as an AD. I had not done them as a PA, I don't think. And I think the last music video I did was for Darylyn, and she was a singer. Well, she was in Hamilton, like like she was, I think, no, I can't remember what role she played, but she was in Hamilton, like that does the tour around the country, and she did her own album, and I helped her with her music video that she started, and it's like a lighter feel. I love music videos because it's different. It's not so military. It's not so, it's just a different, funner vibe. First of all, you have music playing at every take. So hopefully you like the song, you hear it over and over again, and it's like an earworm, and you're like, oh my God, this song is so great. And then you're off the shoot, and then you think about that song, you're like, oh, it's a good song. But it's like, it's a different vibe where, and it's like, I don't know, it's different as in, there's different pay scales. It might be a little bit lower in pay, but it's just I think music videos are a good break from serious film and TV sets, if that makes sense. I like every now and then to switch it up because, music videos are a bit more fun to do. And like, you can experiment and you can change shots and because you have more time, and maybe it's not as a stressful budget, and it doesn't have to be so like we have to get this many shots before the daylight and stuff. It's just completely different. It's a different vibe. I like it. I don't know how you ladies feel about it, but.
Oh no, the music video I loved it. It was actually a Spanish music video, so we didn't understand anything, but we knew the chorus.
I mean, keep the vibe going, it's fine, right?
Yeah, it was great. What was so funny about that was the fact that I became the walkie PA because I was the only PA with experience. The other PAs, it was their first gig ever. So they're just like, look, we don't have time to train anybody. Here, you do walkies. You have experience. We don't have to watch you. I was like, oh, okay. So now I'm walkie PA, plus I'm training the new PAs, and I'm first team PA.
So you're
and background
PA, like PA guru, because it's like, I've been in that situation where it's like I'm the most experienced PA or the most experienced person on set, because in the indie world that can happen to you where you're teaching producers and you're teaching like people how to do their job, and you're like, wait, I didn't sign up to be the teacher on set, but then you end up being the teacher because you end up being the most experienced, which it's
I loved it.
Yeah, some people love it, some people like, how easy is it to find a gig in a music video? For me, it was just who I knew. I mean,
same here.
Word of mouth type of, because the music video that I worked on, it was for my friend who we met through theater, because I was actually her director for my short play when I had to do it for undergrads in order to graduate. And that's how we got together. And then she was like, I'm trying to get into the music video business. So the first music video that she did was actually a dance music video. So it wasn't her song, but she did an interpretive dance to it with the permission of the people who made the song. So yeah, for me, that's how it was. It's a word of mouth thing. And that's how I got Ebony on that set, because it was with the same girl, but that was her original song. So that was actually her first original song, even though she did it in Spanish. And then the music video that Amber was talking about, I know the director personally because she also took Amber's class.
I feel like we need Natalie on this call too. Natalie should be.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're talking about Natalie. Oh, okay.
She's working, but yeah. So it really is a word of mouth type of thing. Because
I want to add something to how different is it or how difficult. The only thing you have to worry about with the music video, logistically speaking, if you're like planning and you're in the prepping of a music video, is like you have to have proper playback. And a lot of people, for some odd reason, they go into a music video situation and they're like, oh, they need to mouth the words. How are we going to make sure that they can hear the song? And it's a logistical problem. So a lot of people forget like a proper playback system or stereo system that the artist can actually listen to the song while it's happening. But that's like one little like, hey, don't forget about that. Because a lot of people do, and it's really very strange. Like I did a musical short film once, and that was the thing that the producers forgot. hey, how are we going to play back the song? And I'm like, are you for real? Like, it was a whole thing. That's at like last minute, like, oh my God, we have to figure out because we forgot and we effed up or whatever. But all right, 5 more minutes. Anything else? Anyone have any questions?
Will these calls be monthly?
I mean, I just go off of, so here's the thing. This is how I run Beyond Film School. Am I bothering my subscribers too much? Am I exhausting? You have to think about that as a business entrepreneur, right? Like, am I bothering? Because I remember I subscribed to this one woman who did a travel blog, and she emails so much, and I'm like, I gotta unsubscribe to her. I don't want that. I don't want to bother anybody. I mean, if the need is there, then I'll totally do it if I can do it. Because I just don't want to exhaust too many people. Like, okay, I'm done talking to Amber. I don't want to talk to her anymore. That's why I brought like Ebony, and I'm so glad that Kit like joined. Because it's like other people, you know, they can bring a different perspective, you know, and they'll remember something that I forgot about something.
Apparently, all the meetups on meetup.com, most of them went virtual, or just they're not doing anything. So
really.
I mean, there's so many webinars and Zoom calls and everything these days. So,
and that's the thing, is like, I think that some people are getting like the Zoom fatigue where they don't want to be a part of Zoom anymore. So that's why I even thought for a couple of weeks when I put the event on Facebook, I'm like, no one's responding. Like, I'm like, maybe these people are just, they don't want to do it. Maybe they're just over it, which, I mean, you try certain things, you know, as a YouTuber, and you're like, how do I, you know, get people to be involved and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know how it's going to go. It's always like, I'm not like, I don't have 10,000 subscribers and 1 million subscribers. So it's like, you always get about 10% of whatever my fan base is. And I usually get like 10% of that participation. Even with the short film challenge, I got 5 or 6. Like, someone took their film down, and I was like, no, what was your film? And I asked her, and she's like, ghosted me. I was like, I want to, you know, if you have a good film, I want to review it. But that's something that, whereas like 30 people said they were going to do it, then 5 people actually did it. So it was like, you know, that type of percentage I was expecting, because this was the first time I was trying that idea. So I'm just trying to figure out different ways to involve, you know, Beyond Film School and the people who want to learn about certain things. So anytime you guys have an idea about something, but I mean, if maybe we'll do a July one. If we're here and we're not on set, then I'll probably do another July one. So, and I'm thinking about like, maybe if there needs to be a certain theme, because I kind of like the free flowing of like, let you guys ask whatever you want, you know, rather than, oh, this is going to be the resume one, because I swear to God, I'd be so bored if it was all about resumes. Just saying. I mean, it's like, I mean, I want to help you with the resume, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's like my least favorite thing to do. I mean, I should have like one where we tell horror stories on set. Like, that would be really gossipy. Like,
oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
I should have a few more people on set, and we'll all tell horror stories. But I mean, we can't tell like what movies they are,
right?
But we can probably show horror. That's actually a good idea. Actually, I'm so glad I thought about that on the spot. It's good. So I mean, maybe next month we'll do it. I don't know.
I'll be here for it.
Probably,
right, so,
as long as I get your email, I'll be there.
Yeah. I mean, I try to remind everyone, give everyone like the reminders. I mean, I even had people on my last Zoom call be like, oh, where is the password? I'm like, I put it in an email. I put it on the Facebook event. I put the links everywhere. And there's still, I feel like, what am I doing wrong? I try to get the info out there as much as possible. So I'm going to end it here. I want to thank everyone for your time, especially Ebony and Kit for joining me on their expertise on film and everything. So thanks, everyone. And I shall talk to you guys soon, hopefully next month or something. Also, if you want your resume, obviously you can submit it to me and I can review it for you. There's no charge for that or anything like that. So,
also just one more thing. Marcus, I know you had a lot of questions, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
I put it up in the chat, but just in case people didn't get a chance to see it, there is this book that is called Hollywood Game Plan, and it's by Carol Kirshner or something like that. It is a really good read. It gives you so much information about like what you should do if you're thinking about relocating, like, you know, basically a lot of this stuff that we talked about, you know, trying to get in.
It's gonna be my book next time. I'm writing a book, guys.
It's not like a PA book. It's a book for if you're trying to get into the entertainment business regardless. But, you know, a lot of times—
Hollywood Playbook?
Hollywood Game Plan.
Game Plan.
By
I love reading film books. This stuff is so fun to read.
Yeah, so it's about getting into the industry regardless of where you want to end up, regardless of if you want to be a PA or like anything like that. It's a really good book. So I definitely recommend.
Oh, you want to talk about like film book recommendations? Read Rebel Without a Crew by Robert Rodriguez. Talk about sacrifice to get his movie done. That was really good. Sorry. It's a really good book to read.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Rodriguez. Yeah, the one who did El Macho. He did that shark movie. What was it? Oh goodness. He's like a famous director. He does like so many things. Robert Rodriguez.
I was like, Jaws.
And
El Marachi.
Yeah.
there was another one that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Hollywood Game Plan. Who's that by? Carol. What's her name?
Carol M. Kirshner, something like that.
Kirshner. Okay.
Yeah. Just look up Hollywood Game Plan, and it should be a blue. It should be a blue. This one.
Okay. Can I do it? Can I do like an online book?
Yeah, I have it. I have. This is Amazon Kindle on my phone, so that's how I have it.
Okay, I'm gonna look both of those up. Thank you all.
All right. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next time. Give my proper Beyond Film School. Bye.
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 Bye.